Hello, I'm Locke Meredith. I'd like to invite you to join me on the next Legal Lines where my guest is Congressman Garret Graves. He's Congressman for District 6. He's going to talk to us about what he's accomplished as Congressman last 5 years and what he hopes to accomplish the next 2 years as Congressman of District 6. Join us on Legal Lines with Congressman Garret Graves. I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. If you're battling an insurance company because of a wreck not your fault and they're not calling you back or being fair, whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555, or email Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. You have nothing to lose.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates. When insurance companies have been unfair, we've never been afraid to go to trial. Fighting hard to protect your rights, we never settle a case out of convenience. We only settle when it's right for you. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan and Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
I'm lawyer Collins Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Hello, welcome to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. I'm pleased to have back on the show, actually we just did one, my very special guest, Congressman Garret Graves. District 6 has what, 800,000 constituents, and you're running for re-election. Tell me why. It's such a sacrifice, Garret. We were talking about it, and it is.
Yeah, being away from family is really hard. I'm not going to deny that. The hours are hard, and you know, you think about
to do it right, and you do it right.
Well, I appreciate it. You think about having 800,000 people. I mean, look, there are 5 of us in my family, and we often don't agree on things. You can imagine. You can imagine introducing, nearly 800,000 additional.
And
folks
it's a huge area.
That equation. It is. It goes. It's Point Capee, East Feliciana, St. Helena, all the way through the Baton Rouge area, down to the river region, down to New Orleans Airport, and then over to the Lafourche and the coast in Terrebonne Parish.
Is there any district bigger?
There are some districts that are bigger in terms of the number of parishes,
but not population.
But no, population's right around the same. This is one of the larger ones, and the census, of course, will result in that being readjusted. But look, while we're running, this is I'm not going to tell you that it's not a sacrifice. To some degree, it is. But you know what? It's also an opportunity. Like you, we have kids, and thinking about this country, thinking about our state, and this is an opportunity for us to have an influence on what country we leave our kids.
Amen.
What opportunity we leave our kids.
There's nothing more important.
No, there's not. And this is really personal to me. It's personal to the people that we represent, and it's important. This country has such an exceptional history. It has such opportunity moving forward. But look, with all this crazy divisiveness and fighting that we're seeing today, all of that is in jeopardy. You've heard people say this many times, that this next generation doesn't have the same opportunity that their parents or grandparents had when they grew up. That's not okay. We can't allow the United States to decline, to become just an ordinary country. Our founders set it up to where that would never be the case. They set it up to where we could be rewarded for our hard work and achieve whatever definition of success that we determine is appropriate for us.
And we can adapt.
We absolutely can, and it's just really concerning seeing some folks try and move us in a direction of more of a socialist type country.
Exactly.
Which, look, Locke, there are more people that are admitted to the United States as legal immigrants than any other country in the world. People are trying to come here legally, illegally, risking their lives because they know how exceptional and great this country is. Why in the world would we move in this new direction of a socialist direction where people are coming from those countries to come here? So,
and it's fascinating.
It is.
I'm sorry. I'm going literally 12 months ago or so. We were exploding in every possibly good way.
Yep.
Energy independent. You list them off. We were blowing it, going everywhere.
The numbers were amazing. I mean, so setting records for lowest unemployment for women, lowest unemployment for teens, lowest unemployment for Hispanic Americans, lowest unemployment for African Americans, lowest unemployment for Asian Americans, economic growth that was setting records. I mean, this was providing higher wages, greater employment opportunities.
Energy independent. We're not subject to Middle East and people screwing us around.
And how cool is that? We were, if I remember right, I think we were importing up to, I think the peak year was 65% of our energy. Right now, today, we're sending 36 countries liquefied natural gas out of Louisiana. We're sending less than a dozen countries, just under a dozen companies, oil out of Louisiana. I mean, we've totally changed the game. Independence, actually creating economic opportunities, markets, and displacing Vladimir Putin's energy with our energy.
Yes.
These are all wins for us.
And it was in less than 3 years, or 4 for sure.
Yep. Remarkable, remarkable. And it's, look, that's not a thing where you say, oh, look, well, this is just the haves versus the have-nots. This was lifting everyone, providing opportunity, and really important, I think, that we keep things on track to ensure that we continue providing opportunity.
Because we know what's possible, and we can't let this pandemic pull us down. So let's kind of dive into the pandemic. You know, it has been quite a tragedy for all kinds of folks in all kinds of ways. Tell me kind of what you're seeing as being the big issues and what you think are the answers.
Well, look, it's important to note, we really haven't been through this in our lifetime. No. And so it's not like you have a manual or model. Having experience with the disasters in Louisiana, I think it's always important to over-respond, to over-prepare initially and try and understand what's going on. We are seeing all sorts of problems. Look, people just say, well, look, we got to keep everybody home and shut everything down. But the reality is, you've got to think about the problems. There are significant economic problems. You've seen the decline in economic activity, decline in wages, people losing jobs. Louisiana today, 6th highest unemployment rate in America. That's not okay. You've seen rapid increases in alcoholism and drug abuse, in divorces, in suicides, in domestic abuse. Look, these are obviously adverse consequences. And so you've got to look at that balance and how do we properly strike the balance in opening up safely and doing things like saying, yes, we're going to open, but you're going to have to wear this and you're going to have to clean your hands coming in. We can do this. We've been through hurricanes, oil spills, record high water. We adapt and overcome. And I'm afraid on this one, you've had too many people that have just said, you know, kind of playing turtle and rolling over and saying, all right, we're done. And that's not okay. That's not what we do as America. And it's really concerning.
And as I understand it, the bottom line is, as a percentage, very few people are going to die from this or suffer any long-term consequence. We pretty much know what group of folks, and sadly I'm amongst them, that are, you know, the highest risk folks, you know, and it seems absurd if you're going to lose, you know, or 95% of folks are going to be just fine if they get it, that the whole country seems to lock down and freak down over if you might get a virus that 95 out of 100 people survive.
Locke, you know, like I said, I think in disasters you over-respond initially, and that's okay. That's what you do.
Well, remember, they were telling us, Garrett, they were telling us over 2 million people were going to die. Mm-hmm. So praise God, everything that was done was done. It's just like we can't keep doing that. We're more educated now, right?
And that's the point. We've learned a lot. The hospitalizations have gone down. The ventilator requirements, ICUs have gone down. Obviously the deaths have gone down. The treatments, we've learned a lot more about how to intervene with medicine. And so, in fact, there's a medical researcher physician right here out of Baton Rouge that thinks he's found this relationship between our taste receptors and basically the vulnerability we have to getting. His research is amazing in terms of how clear of a trend it appears to paint. So we're learning a lot more. We've got to apply those lessons, and I think that we can open up safely in different ways, like we're seeing many of our schools appear to be opening and operating safely.
Got to get the kids back in, right?
Absolutely, because you've got to make sure that you get, you know, allow people to keep the health insurance and keep their wages and stay active and stop these adverse trends that we're seeing and not allow this to destroy America's economy.
It almost seems like President Trump, though I'm sure he didn't intend it, became his own best kind of spokesperson, having gotten the virus, and then the guys that he let loose, the medical research folks and the manufacturers, the vaccine guys, you know, it appears that whatever they've developed in the last 6-9 months is what maybe saved him. So clearly it's what you're pointing to, and that is we know how to deal with this now, and it's only going to get better.
Yeah, and I agree. You're seeing a lot of people push in a different direction where instead they say, look, we're going to not operate businesses, and instead we're going to have government step in and have more people dependent upon government. I think it's the wrong direction. It's a dangerous trend.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with my very special guest, Congressman Garret Graves. We'll be right back.
I'm lawyer Locke Meredith. Trust is important when hiring an injury law firm. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, thousands have trusted us and gotten the results they deserved. Visit us at LockeMeredith.com. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call, 272-5555.
Hi, I'm Mitchell Meredith. Injuries happen when you least expect them to, making your life more complicated. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan Associates, we know this and we strive to help each of our clients during these times. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call at 272-5555.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. We have as our very special guest, Congressman Garret Graves. He is running for re-election, District 6. November 3rd is the voting day. I think early voting's going on right now.
It just started, yes.
I heard you tried and it was hard.
The lines are pretty intense. We've heard all over South Louisiana, so there's
that's great news,
a lot of interest in the election. It's great to see that more people are engaging and get perhaps an accurate representation of the public's will.
That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. You are on several very powerful committees and subcommittees, I think, at different times. You've been up there where you were in the minority and up there in the majority. Yeah. Tell folks about the committees and kind of what's changed, what's good, and what's going on.
Yeah, sure. You know, the committees, and this kind of gets into the weeds of the job, but the committees, particularly in the House of Representatives, are really important because in the committee, you basically can offer any amendments you want relative to that bill. By the time a bill gets to the House floor for a vote, the majority party determines what amendments are offered and things like that. So you're really restricted.
Wow.
So the committees are important. So we wanted to get on the Transportation Committee with jurisdiction over roads and airports and flood protection and disasters, get on the Natural Resources Committee with jurisdiction over fisheries and hunting and energy production and things important in Louisiana. We also serve on the Climate Committee.
Which is a big boy these days.
It is, with energy policy and thinking about our energy future, which of course Louisiana is going to play a huge role in. So that's where you spend the majority of your time influencing legislation. And I'll say it again, in the House, you need to get on the committee that it's most important, the people that you represent. But we still have an opportunity to work on other things. And something we were talking about the pandemic earlier, the Paycheck Protection Program.
Right.
We worked and helped to get some of the laws in place to allow that to move forward.
We all needed that.
Well, we did, and I'll tell you, there's $138 billion that's still available, and we're trying to work to get a phase 2 of that program going. But even though we're not on the committee of jurisdiction, we still have an opportunity to work with other members of Congress and making a lot of progress and working on some new laws to open that one back up. So, but the committee role is important, and I'll tell you, just to give you an idea of some of the successes, we've been able to secure an extra $1 billion in transportation funds. The new PQ lane exit, $1 billion. The new PQ lane, the exit that's being built, the new lane on I-10 that's going to be opened on October 25th. October 25th. Working on the new exit, Washington Street Terrace exit that opened up. That one was with some of the funds we secured. Louisiana LA1, Highway 1, $135 million we recently announced for that roadway. Flood protection, another area of jurisdiction. We've secured $3 billion. Projects like,
you've done unbelievable
the
flood
Comey
stuff.
Diversion Project. That project's been stuck since the 1980s. $392 million, all in the bank. Project's going to be completed. West Shore project in the river region, $760 million, and it's been stuck since before I was born. And that project's moving forward now. So it's a really great opportunity for you to actually engage in some of these important issues at home that are affecting people on a daily basis.
I don't think you tooted your horn loud enough on that stuff, because here's why. The fact that you are on these subcommittees gives you overweighted power is the bottom line. Your vote weighs a whole lot more than somebody who's not on the committee and just part of trying to add amendments later down the road. And you've accomplished an amazing amount in the 5 years that you've been there. It's incredible. And I personally want to thank you, because we needed it. And we still need it. But at least the money's there now, it sounds like. And now it's a matter of implementation, right?
Well, those projects are going to get built, and I'll tell you, Locke, one of the things, because we had a window of opportunity serving on these committees, We actually secured an extra $1.2 billion because we said, we can't stop at project ideas that came from the 70s, 80s, and 90s and think we're good. We need to be thinking about 2030. What does that look like? 2040, what does that look like? So we secured an extra $1.2 billion to address future projects, monies in the bank available today, and we're working on those plans now. So we're going to have some great protection in this area.
And that money is spent with some, I guess, strings attached by the feds, and then the states administer it to the local folks, or how does that process work?
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, the $3 billion, we've actually done it through 5 different programs. So there's some of them the states control. A big part of it is run by the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Which is not always your best friend.
They're not, but I'll tell you, they are getting a little bit better.
Good,
They
I'm glad
really
to
are.
hear it.
And we're continuing to work to hold them accountable to keep these projects on schedule. But the $1.2 billion, for example, we gave those funds to the state of Louisiana. The governor and I have been talking a good bit about how to best spend those dollars and ensuring that we're addressing true priorities and not political priorities.
I mean, that's the important thing is not to let partisanship control this process. You feel comfortable that it's going to go where it needs to go?
Well, I haven't been real happy with how they started it, but I think we have an opportunity to salvage it. We've been working closely with Mayor Broome, with Parish President in Ascension, Clint Coitma, and of course the Livingston Parish President, Leighton Ricks. But we're making some progress, and we're looking at a regional kind of plan moving forward to make sure that we're not going to keep Ascension dry to flood Livingston, or keep Baton Rouge dry to flood Ascension, or anything like that. And that's going really well. We've got some great project ideas that I think
could really
bring us to the future. Absolutely.
That's smart, more of a bird's eye. So I was reading that HUD has kind of angered you because even though you killed, I mean, your bill signed by the President of the United States killed duplication of benefits. Tell folks about this.
Yeah, sure.
All us victims of the Great Flood.
Oh gosh, Locke, this is one of these things that you just look at like, who ever thought this was a good idea? In the immediate aftermath of the flood we had in 2016, the only real funds that were available initially is that you could get a loan from the Small Business Administration. Now, just to be clear, that meant for individuals, even though it says business in the name. This would be a loan for you to rebuild your house, or to just cover some of your expenses that you had in the immediate aftermath. And these were the only funds that were available. So that's what people were getting to rebuild their home and help get their life going again. Well, then months later, we were able to secure $1.7 billion for grants to flood victims. And so what the federal government did, only the federal government geniuses could come up with this. And this was initially under the Obama administration. They said, if you got a loan that you have to pay back, you can't get a grant, because they said that's duplicative. Now, I mean, think.
I'm paying one back and the other's a gift.
Which person would choose, if you had an option between a loan and a grant, would choose the loan? No one would. So we changed the law and said, look, if they got the loan, they can still get the grant, but just maybe have them use it to pay the loan back or something. But don't penalize them for leaning forward and trying to rebuild. So again, we changed the law. We were really excited. President signed it. And thought everything was good. Well, going back to these people that have power that shouldn't, some of these bureaucrats, unaccountable, unelected bureaucrats within the federal government, have decided that they're only going to allow some people to actually get the grants now. And so we have been fighting and fighting. We've gotten probably about 70% of the people have been paid now and have been addressed, but we still have this 30% that is lingering, and we're just continuing. And it's this faceless, nameless bureaucracy that we're fighting. And sometimes it's hard to even figure out who is writing these awful policies or regulations. But the law is the law, and the law says that these people should be paid. So incredibly frustrating.
Garret, it almost seems like the power, even though we have our elected representatives and we participate in this political system, in some ways, the deep state, the federal bureaucracy is there for life. They outlast everybody, and they can thwart you till you're gone. It's unbelievable.
It is, and that whole deep state thing, you laugh about it, but I mean, that's exactly what we're seeing right now.
All right, we'll continue this on the next segment. This is Locke Meredith with Legal Line. My very special guest, Congressman Garret Graves. We'll be right back.
Hi, I'm Sean Fagan of Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates. Open the phone book or look online. There are plenty of lawyers to choose from. And if you ask any of them, they'll agree that the vast majority of claims settle without ever having gone to trial. And I'll tell you, any lawyer can settle a claim. It's not hard to settle a claim, but it takes hard work to get a client what he or she deserves. At Locke Meredith, Sean Fagan & Associates, we have a proven record of working hard for our clients. Whether you hire us at all, give us a call.
Welcome back to Legal Lines. I'm Locke Meredith. We have on the show Congressman Garret Graves, District 6. He's running for re-election. 11-3. Time to vote, folks. Early voting right now. Let's dive back in. These hurricanes are kind of whacking us back and forth. I know we kind of got used to getting hit, and then we had a 12, 13-year spot where we could all breathe, but man, tell me what's going on.
This year's been tough. And you imagine if Marco would have continued in the path we had Marco and Laura doing this. So look, it's important to note that having that double whammy that we saw over in Southwest Louisiana, that doesn't happen much at all. And that area of the state, such an important energy hub nationally and internationally, been devastated by storm surge and winds, just extraordinary winds in that area. So it's important for us all to come together. Look, we know when the 2016 flood happened here, you had people coming from all over and helping, and it's our opportunity to go help them. We are working with members of Congress from Florida and Alabama that got hit by Hurricane Sally, working with members of Congress in California, Oregon, and Washington who are dealing with the wildfires on a recovery package and what that looks like, how we tailor it for South Louisiana and the folks who are impacted. But look, even right here in the capital region, we had winds that almost approached 90 miles an hour.
A lot of juice went out.
There was. And so we've got to make sure that we rebuild, but most importantly, we've got to think about resilience and how we prevent these things from happening in the future.
I think, and of course, you met with President Trump to argue the case, so to speak. Not that it was too hard, I assume, given the devastation. So this is interesting what you're talking about. In essence, it's boiling down to learn from the mistakes, right?
Absolutely. I mean, you can go back and look, and since the 1980s, we've spent like $1.7 trillion responding to these disasters. If we had spent a fraction of that money on the front end, building protection, resilience, better response systems, recovery systems, we could have saved, I think, over $1 trillion.
Incredible.
And there are all sorts of studies show that for every dollar you invest in being proactive in flood protection and things like that, you get anywhere from $3 to $12 in cost savings. So these things pay for themselves, and we've got to stop this overly reactionary approach and be more proactive. We made some changes in the law 2 years ago to do that, but a lot more work needs to be done, and we've got some ideas on how to do that. We're working on legislation to do that right now, and I'm excited. I think we have a good shot of getting it done next year.
And you know, we didn't talk about your CV a whole lot, but you've learned a lot. You did a lot of this type of work for Governor Jindal when you headed up it wasn't a committee, but it was
coastal agency. Yes.
Yeah. And learned a lot, it sounds like. So, but I also know you're not pushing regulation just for regulation. In fact, you propose reducing a lot, and it sounds like you got that accomplished recently.
What's most important, I think, is make sure that you're applying experience, whether it be from yourself or from others, and really bringing real world experience. And again, whether it's your experience or you're learning it from people you're representing, bringing that to Congress and putting solutions in place. So one of the things we found, look, we're well aware of our traffic problems here. And what we found is that just doing the environmental analysis on a transportation project now takes 7 years. 7 years just to do the environmental.
And that's for the state or the city, right?
Well, that is for, anytime you're using $1 of federal funds for a transportation project, you have to do a National Environmental Policy Act analysis. And so it's taken 7 years, as you know. I mean, even the new lanes on the interstate we're doing right now is taking 2 years. And we're going to spend 7 years just doing an environmental analysis. Protecting the environment is important, but it's clear we don't need to take that long. The process has become way too bureaucratic, way too much red tape. So we've got legislation that would bring it down to a maximum of 2 years, allows for more robust public participation, and we're really excited about the progress we're making on that one, getting a lot of support from around the country on that bill, and think we're going to be able to move it forward.
I know the floods in 16 and these hurricanes, and it beat the heck out of all our fisher guys and shrimp and the rest of the folks. Tell them what you've done for them.
Well, so we were able to secure tens of millions of dollars in direct assistance to our fishermen and women that were impacted by some of the floods, impacted by the pandemic. And we also, you think about it, like you have all these people that are out of work, and so some of our nutrition and food programs are really getting overtaxed right now. And so we said, well, wait a minute. Our fishermen are getting hit because the restaurants weren't really open or aren't really open. You have these meal programs that are just getting oversubscribed. So let's connect the two. We got the food programs to buy our shrimp.
sense. Yeah.
And
we
just
all love shrimp and
that's
crawfish,
it.
baby.
So we're going to have crawfish etouffee, shrimp etouffee all over the country. So we're able to connect some Louisiana seafood, tens of millions of pounds of it, with some of these food programs. So you're getting people good,
That's
high quality
good thinking.
protein all across the country, and it's coming from here. So again, just a win-win situation. And really excited about that one. We recently were working with some attorneys and working with other members of Congress. We just had a court case where California was trying to ban Louisiana alligators, any type of products, clothes, purses, whatever.
I knew
else.
I didn't like California.
That's it. The top market for Louisiana alligator hides. And we just had a judge there, as a result of some intervention, throw that out. So allowing Louisiana alligator products in that state. So working on nutria legislation. In fact, the president should be signing it maybe even today. That's going to allow nutria population control. Of course, they are just reproducing.
I lived with it. I know what it's like. Yeah,
and tearing up our coast. And so another good win right there. So there's been a lot going on and making some progress on things that I think really affect people at home.
So, you're running, you win every time you run by mid-60 approval at least. What are your plans? I mean, let's vote for Garrett, but what are your plans for the next several years when you get back to Congress? What are you looking at and going, this is what I'm focused on?
Sure. So the next 2 years, we have made a lot of progress on traffic issues in the capital region, but we all know that there is a lot more to do. We've got to focus on getting a new bridge crossing the Mississippi River, and it's not just about deciding where the bridge is going to go and getting the money. It's the process by which you actually construct the bridge and the environmental law that I just told you about. That's really important. We found that the Corps of Engineer projects to build flood protection and things like that, it's taking in some cases 2 or 3 times as much money as if you and I were to build it. And so, a lot of people say, well, look, we just need more money to get these projects built. Well, wait a minute. If we can cut the project cost in half simply by reforming the project development and delivery process, we can build twice as many projects with the same amount of money. So we're spending a lot more time on that, thinking about how to more efficiently get these projects delivered time-wise and money-wise. And there are a lot of opportunities, I think, to improve that process. Drug cost is something else. Look, you cannot defend the fact. You can't defend the fact that we're paying 50 times the cost for the same drug in the United States as they pay over in Canada, as they pay in Europe. That's unacceptable. We're working with a number of bipartisan members of Congress on that, creating a new safety disaster board that would look in the aftermath of hurricanes, wildfires, and other disasters, just like the National Transportation Safety Board. What are the lessons learned? What was done wrong? What was done right? How can we learn from those and prevent them from happening again? So look, we have got a whole list of legislation we're working on related to healthcare, related to infrastructure, natural resources, climate and energy policy. Those are going to be some of the areas where we spend most of our time, because that's really what we hear from people at home more than anything else.
I've got to assume that healthcare is just one of the top issues that you're hearing, because the premiums are skyrocketed. It seems like what's covered is reduced and deductibles are ridiculous.
You're paying more and getting less. I mean, Obamacare didn't work the way it was intended, but we just need to focus on some of the fixes that will ensure rates come down and access to better care goes up.
And we need the Republicans in control. Thank you for being with us on Legal Lines. I'm very pleased to have had on the show Congressman Garret Graves. We'll see you next time.